Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. Today, I'm getting into it. How do you train your brain to overcome scarcity? How do you think like a seven-figure entrepreneur? How do you get done with the thoughts that help you to play small, that have you really creating less than you know you have potential to do? If you've ever had the thought that I'm playing the back and not the front, that I know that I'm playing small, but I can't figure out how to get past that, because every time I go to do something, fear pops up, right? Fear is this indicator of a belief that does not align with your vision. Let me say that again. Fear is an indication that you have a belief, a thought pattern in your mind that doesn't align with your vision. So I'm curious, if you had, let's say with your kids, if you're a parent, or if you're not a parent, if you have, loved ones that have kids, imagine you showed up to pick them up from school, and they were heading from school to, I don't know, robotics, or they were heading somewhere where they were doing something amazing at school. And you drive up and you see a person 2 times the size of your child. And that person is literally pinning your child's shoulders down to a bench, and is preventing your child from moving, and is saying horrible and terrible things to your child. Now, if you're anything like me, I always say the Southern in me comes out if you do something with my child, or if my child is hurting, because it's like, I'll take you out, I'll go to jail, I'll cut you. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure if that's you, but most of us would go beyond, over and above, to defend that child. Yet at the same time, the bullies of your mind, the thoughts of your mind that do not align with where you want to go, that keep you in scarcity, that literally crush the flow of service, that literally crush the flow of money, are allowed to remain in your mind. And so we have this question of, how does the 3% get to be the 3%? We look at that in terms of wealth and money. Here's the thing. There's a universal law. God created this law, and most people ignore it, and I'm probably going to ruffle a little feathers today, some people call it the law of abundance. Unfortunately, they strip the power of this law when they don't give God credit for the creation of this law. So this law of prosperity, and that word is a different word than just money. It means happiness, fulfillment of life, health, good friendships, and of course, prosperity in your life and in your business financially. That law, created by God to give us the blueprint on how to do anything in our lives. And unfortunately, we either use the counterfeit, which is void of its power, and we try to think really hard on something over and over again and hope that it happens. And I'm sorry, it's void of the power if you do not give God the acknowledgement, the tip, thank you for creating this law that is universal across business platforms. It's universal across relationships. It's universal across health. It's universal across any area, domain of your life. This law of prosperity is this. It's in scripture where he says, as a man or as a woman soweth, as a man sows, gives, serves, so they will reap. As a man sows, so will they reap. It is woven all throughout scripture. And if you think about it at the base level of who we are in our existence, if you look at trees, plants, grass, anything that requires that something gets put in before it gets put out, right? There's so many systems. Some are, they're immediately popping into your mind that as it goes in, it comes out, right? So this law, don't laugh, but this law of sowing and reaping permeates And that's the problem, unfortunately, with religious people. Okay, I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but when you take scripture and God as a religion, that's a problem. The Bible itself is literally a manifesto for life. It is everything you need to know for a good, abundant, more than you can ever think or imagine kind of life. So this law of sowing and reaping, I watch, unfortunately, so many people get in the conversation of, I need to make money. Okay, so if you're saying that right now, it's not your fault. The culture teaches you this, but here's the thing. That is actually backwards to how abundance works. And so if we're going to overcome scarcity, we've got to flip that. I was just in San Diego with my 7-figure coach mastermind. We're going to be opening up a couple spots in that mastermind this year. So if you're hearing this podcast and you are a coach or really wanting to get to the next level, get past 6 figures and on to 7, then reach out to me in the DMs and we'll get you an application. But we were talking about this idea that the culture teaches you to pursue money, to pursue, like, what do people do? They go to work and okay, here's a great example. People are working 9 to 5. They go to work, they sow or invest time, and they create high value, and that business owner pays them. That is the reaping part. So they sow their time, they sow their talent, they sow their treasure, and then they reap financial reward for their time. That is trading time for dollars, but that is also the law of sowing and reaping, the law of prosperity right there in action. But as an entrepreneur, unfortunately, the sleazy marketing of the world tells you you can have it quick and free. Like you can flip a switch and have 7 figures tomorrow. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who have done that, but it goes against, in fact, if you look at anybody who's an overnight success, you're going to see 7+ years of sowing that allowed the one day to pop, right? It allowed the one day to pop. So what is the difference then? What are we sowing that stops us is what I want to talk about next. But here's the thing, we get this backwards. We want to make money. So we make these financial goals and we're looking at money and we're thinking and managing our mind around how much we have made and haven't made. And we're wondering why it's getting harder and harder and harder to make it. And it's because it's just working in opposition to this law. And so what is in alignment with the law is I sow first, and it always comes back to me. I sow service, I sow relationship, I sow commitment, I serve, and it always comes back. And you see this everywhere in nature. You see this everywhere in all the areas of your life. If you sow working out, you have a great body. If you sow eating well, you don't have a lot of fat on your body. If you sow thinking well, you come up with great ideas to start amazing businesses. But we all want a really profitable business, but we're not willing to sow the time and the creativity to think. So I'm hoping this is like starting to really open up, like I'm focusing on the wrong thing. So we focus on the thing the culture tells us, which is money, 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 instead of focusing on the thing that actually literally moves the needle, which is what I sow, I reap. Now we don't want to do it. I'm going to sow so that I reap. It needs to be that open system of I'm so committed to sowing. I'm so committed to serving. I'm so committed to taking the talents, the gifts, the abilities that God has given me and making other people's lives better, making everything work better, that I know that I'm going to be taken care of. There's a scripture that talks about like, look at the lilies in the field, look at the birds in the air. And they're amazing, yet you're so much more important than they are. And that scripture is connected to this same scripture, which says, what you sow, you reap. And so you're going to be taken care of. And that way we can actually get out of scarcity, get out of strive, and rest while we serve. And then the other key in this thing is, and I was listening to Ernest Nightingale recently, and it just brought all this back to mind, this idea of the farmer in your mind. So your mind is like a soil, right? And if you think about it, if you ever know anything about farming, you have probably heard like what you plant seeds in the ground comes up. So imagine if you have like corn or some amazing plant and you have the seeds for that, but you also have the seeds for nightshade. Well, if I put corn and nightshade in the same field with amazing soil and I water it and I take care of both of them, yes, the corn will start to grow and probably start to grow fast because it's a fast growing item, but nightshade is poisonous and it's going to poison not just that crop, but the soil underneath that crop. And so these thoughts that you have that are in opposition, fear, bitterness, jealousy, imposter, all of these thoughts that aren't in alignment with where you're going are like that nightshade. And we have the thought, but we don't manage the thought out of our mind. And that's, of course, what we do is help you learn the skills to do that, because there is no other soil that is going to create the crop that you're looking for than in your mind. No strategy is going to outperform poisonous plants gardening your mind. No amazing mastermind is going to outperform the poisonous plants of the thought of fear and bitterness and scarcity and jealousy and imposter syndrome and those things. So it really becomes this twofold thing to release abundance. First, it's truly having faith in the law of sowing and reaping, meaning 100% knowing you're going to get taken care of, and get out there and give your 1% to the world over and over and over and over again. And you release an energy. Yes, this is scriptural. This is not just woo. This is scriptural. Your thoughts are energy. And as a man thinks, as a woman thinks, so as she becomes. As you are thinking, I am valuable, I have demand because I get to serve people, people will want to work with you. And by the way, they will pay you, and you won't be begging and pleading and overselling. You will just be offering and opening the door. And the other thing is, we got to tend to the soil. Now, if there's a thought that you're thinking that isn't in alignment with your vision, there is nothing more important in your day. No funnel, no email, no live. Nothing is more important than stopping it dead in its track. Now, we have a process I learned through my PhD in neuroscience, how to prune, synaptic pruning. And I combined it with a little bit of the idea of plasticity. And it actually does work. Isn't it interesting how we solve our own problems and then help people with that? So we call it the mind matrix. You can only do that with us because it's a proprietary system, but there is a simple system. It's literally so simple to yank those weeds at their roots so that they don't keep coming back when you get to the next level and the next level and the next level and the next level. There's nothing more important. If you want abundance in your life, if you want abundance in your business, if you want the business to be growing, if you want your relationships to be growing, if you want your health to be growing in a way that is supporting your vision, then this conversation around this universal God-given law of prosperity, which is what you sow, you reap, that we lead with sowing first, not lead with wanting to reap first. And we really mine the soil of our minds and get really passionate about any poisonous plant that gets planted in there, because it is literally going to choke out your visions and your dreams. And of course, we would love to help you with that in any way possible. We have a few things that we do over here. We have a program called 67-Day Year, where we teach you how to create a year's worth of goals in 67 days. That's starting in January. If you want early access to that, DM me. We also have our certification for those that are coaches that want to learn how to coach the right way to truly transform from the brain-based perspective, from the science-based perspective. So you don't keep hoping and wishing you help your clients, but you actually do. You create raving fans. That certification is an application right now. So you want to go to beacertifiedcoach.com, beacertifiedcoach.com, and become the industry gold standard of transformation in your niche. And of course, here's the thing I want to leave you with today. You are the creator of your thoughts, and your thoughts literally paint your future. So as you're thinking about overcoming scarcity today, I want to leave you with this thought. What were you put on this earth to do? What is your secret sauce? And go out there and give it to people that need it, and make sure you pull the weeds. All right, that's what I have for you this week on the Epic Success Podcast. Bye for now.